left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. Everything. But sometimes the promise is not for now. We need to see things now. But we just have to trust that God is going to do what he's going to do. We have to trust that the same God who promised Abraham, the same God who promised that Jesus would die and rise again, didn't leave Jesus dead. Look at what he says here. He continues on. What were they looking for? But they were looking for a better place, a heavenly homeland. That is why God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. So Abraham was homesick, not for his own place, not to go back. He was homesick to be with the one who had made all those promises to him. You understand? Abraham wasn't sick or wasn't homesick for a place. He was, where's home? How many of you have ever heard the expression, home is where the heart is? You've heard that expression before? Why? Because the people you love are there. And Abraham wanted to be with the one he loved, which was God. The one who made all of those promises is where he was homesick to get to. Keep in mind that even after Israel received the promised land, what happened next? They lost it. Most of the tribes were captured by the Assyrians. Then Judah was captured by the Babylonians. Then God brought them back. They became disobedient again. And then the Roman Empire came in. They were ruling during the time of Jesus. And in about AD 70, they came and destroyed Jerusalem and tore down the temple. And then in 1948, the nation of Israel was restored. But it isn't their final destination. This place is not our home, ultimately. And the same way we have faith to trust that God is going to do the things he's promised us here, we have to have faith. And you know, you guys heard that song, I'm No Longer Afraid, I'm a Child of God? Why do you think he's singing that song? Why do you think he's saying, I'm no longer, I'm no longer afraid, I'm a child of God? Why? Because there was a time where I feared death. The unknown held me captive. The fear of hell held me captive. But once I gave my life to Christ, I'm no longer afraid. Because it has no power over me anymore. So we make a life here while we're here with the expectation that something more is to come. This is why the Bible tells us not to store up our treasures on earth. But Jesus tells us to store it where? In heaven. We love the people that are in the world because we want to share what we have with them, right? But what we have to share with them is not to be happy and content here, that there's a better place. We live and function in this world, so we have to behave and act a certain way, and we have to be friends and care about people in work, in school, our friends, with our family. But all the while, we are waiting on our departure date. And I want you to think about this with me. Just imagine you were waiting on a plane. But then you were told that the plane was grounded. And you couldn't leave until a future date. But they didn't know the future date. And they told you it would be quite a while. You were told, it's not canceled. The flight is not canceled. But you should go about, so you can go ahead and go about your business. Go ahead and any appointments you need to keep, things that you need to take care of, go ahead and take care of them. But you should be ready to leave at any time. That's what we're doing right now. Our flight is already booked. We already belong to Christ, and he's coming, but he's basically said to us, it's ready. Nobody can cancel that flight. Go ahead and take care of the things you have to take care of while you're there. But be ready. Because I may come at any time, and when I come, you need to come. You need to be ready. That's the way we should live our lives. And the cool thing about this flight is that it doesn't cost us anything. But no one can afford it. And the cool thing is that although we have our seat on the plane, we can tell everybody that we know, hey, you want to get on the plane? It has seats. is not oversold. It's not too full. We can tell people about it. We can tell people about the heavenly home we're looking forward to. Because if this is all there is that really anything? Life gets tired. You notice when the Bible tells us in the end, it says that God will wipe away every tear from their eye, and there'll be no more sorrow or pain, and no more people dying, and all the wars that we see and disease. We see pictures. We turn away from the pictures of little children starving. But there's a day where that'll end, where God is going to bring about all of his promises. You know, I titled my message, Faith from a Distance, but not physical distance. I'm talking about the distant past. You see, our ancestor through faith was Abraham. We wait patiently for the fulfillment made not to him, not to us only, but to him. And the same way he was faithful, and then Moses was faithful, and then David was faithful, and people kept waiting, and then the apostles were faithful, and Christians who were killed and slaughtered were faithful to the end. So we must be faithful. We wait for the promise, because although we change and circumstances change, and here's the kicker, although you might not feel like things are going to happen, we know that God is faithful. So don't go by what you feel, go by what you know. You know God is faithful. Trust him for that. We don't lose hope, because we have distant examples that God has left behind for us. The God who keeps his promises is the God we put our hope in. 1 Corinthians 2:9 says this: that is what the scripture means when they say, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. I'm going to leave you with this last thought. One day, this is from Tim Hansel, one day my son Zach and I were out in the country, climbing around in some cliffs. I heard a voice from above me yell, "Hey Dad, catch me!" I turned around to see Jack joyfully jumping off a rock straight at me. He jumped and then yelled, "Hey Dad!" I became an instant circus act, catching him. We both fell to the ground. For a moment after I caught him, I could hardly talk. When I found my voice again, I gasped in exacerbation. "Zach, can you give me a good reason why you did that?" He responded with remarkable calmness. "Sure," he said to his dad. "Because you're my dad." That's why he did it. His whole assurance was based in the fact that his father was trustworthy. He could live life to the fullest because I could be trusted. And isn't this even more true for Christians? Because that little boy could jump and know his father was going to catch him. Don't we know our Father will catch us? Don't we know that God will catch us? What are the wars that you have going on inside of you? Everyone in this room. Is the war between what you feel is right and what you know. Don't allow your feelings to take you off track and get you going in the wrong direction. Your feelings don't give you logic. Your feelings are feelings. Go past your feelings and think. And know that the many, many thousands of people that have followed Christ and have given their life for him didn't do it out of stupidity. And the apostles who each died, willingly died, why would they do that if it wasn't true? You think Peter, the apostle Peter, who was crucified upside down, you think he would be crucified upside down if he was like, yeah, we made this all up. In the end, he would have been like, you know what, I don't want to get nailed to a cross. We made this whole story up. It was fun for a while, but honestly, I don't want to get crucified. They would have quit, right? But what did he do? The only request that Peter had when he was going to be crucified was that he be crucified upside down, because he felt he wasn't good enough to be crucified the same way as his Lord. You think a Muslim guy might blow himself up, but you think if he knew what he was dying for was fake, you think he'd die for it? Peter certainly knew what he saw. And it wasn't just him. It was James, who was run through with the sword. It was Paul, who was beheaded. Isaiah, who was probably sawn in half. I mean, there are lots and lots and lots of people who died and gave their life. Something has to have been happening there, right? I'll leave you with that. But be like that little boy. We have a better father than a human father. Human fathers fail. Human fathers mess up. Human fathers abuse their kids sometimes. But God is never like that. God is perfect. All love, all kindness, all mercy, all the time. Let's close in prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you, Lord God.